It was a weekend of wins for Texas Tech. Thanks so much for tuning in to Double T Insider. I'm Taylor Peters alongside Adam Doyle. Lubbock not the only place that saw some big wins this weekend, though. How about Hurley Long out in California?
Yeah, out in the Golden State, able to shoot a 61 at Pebble Beach, which is the course record, not just for the Carmel Cup where Texas Tech was playing at this weekend, but for the course itself. That's just amazing to wrap your mind around. He ends up winning the individual title out there at the Carmel Cup, and Texas Tech finished his second overall as a team.
Texas Tech soccer at home getting their home opener against App State. App State coming in a pretty strong team, and Texas Tech just absolutely taking advantage of their home pitch advantage. What did you see from Tom Stone and Tech soccer over the weekend? We
held the ball for basically 90% of the game. I mean, we owned that game. You could see it on the scoreboard, but in possession, we held it the entire time. Two freshmen score again. Kirsten Davis scores her second goal of the season. Allie Griffin, another talented freshman, scores her first goal of the season. Gwenny Puente sneaks in there with a goal as well. 4 total for the team. That's what you expected offensively from this team. A team that struggled offensively last year. They're loaded like we expected.
And again, Texas Tech volleyball gets their home opener here, a sweep of Abilene Christian University. We'll hear from head coach Tony Greystone here in just a little bit. But Texas Tech football getting a 56-10 win over Eastern Washington in their home opener. I don't know what number stands out to you, but 3 forced turnovers looks pretty dang good to me.
Yeah, Tony Jones gets a turnover. First we've seen a little bit of him. Willie Sykes, a pick 6. First time we've had one of those in a while. He said 3 total turnovers, and then it was led by Ja'Shawn Johnson, who got the first turnover. He forces that fumble in the first quarter. That team gave up 10 points to an Eastern Washington team that has scored 40-plus on many Division I teams in the last 4 to 5 years. That is a really impressive defensive performance. You couple that with what we did offensively, we looked great.
I want to go back to Willie Sykes for just a second. Earlier on in the spring, we talked to his defensive backs coach in Carl Scott, and I asked him, who's the guy that stands out to you kind of as the hype guy, somebody that sort of rallies the crew? And immediately right off the bat, he says Willie Sykes. And I think that goes to say a lot, because it's a guy who didn't get to do a lot on the field last year. He didn't play last year, but he still kind of rallied the team and kept his momentum up. And so to be able to see him come out and not only be a leader on the sideline, but to start being a leader on the field is really encouraging.
I would say the same thing about Tony Jones, a guy that we didn't know a whole lot about on the defensive line. Man, he had a pass breakup, he had 2 tackles, he had an interception, and he had a sack. He made his presence known early and often. That's going to be big time, because the next level of defense will just get better if that defensive line is ready to play.
Last week, we started off the show talking about Nick Shimanek and what we anticipated to see from him. 14 of 14 to start off the game. He looked very solid, and he stayed that way consistent throughout.
Right, just shy of the Texas Tech single-game record. Just needed to get up to 15. That's okay. Throwing for over 380 yards and 3 touchdowns, he looked really good, but it was what his running game was able to do for him as well that helped him out. Over 170 yards total between all of those running backs. You had 2 running backs in Justin Stockton and Desmond Nisby. Both go over 50 yards. Stockton scores 2 touchdowns for you. That running game and that defense can look like that week in and week out. Man, we have so much to be excited about.
We'll talk a little bit more about the run game and specifically Desmond Nisby here in just a little bit. Stay with us. We'll be right back on Double T Insider.
Double T Insider is brought to you in part by Plains Capital Bank. Bank with confidence. The Red Raider Club. Your support, their effort, our fearless champions. Texas Farm Bureau. Register today for your chance to deliver the game ball and receive a VIP experience at a Texas Tech home football game. Contest details available at texastech.com.
Big back I was mentioning earlier gets the football, Nisby, and he bounces off of a defender, and he's off the left side across midfield to the 45 down to the 43-yard line.
You know, he's going to help the young men to be mature, to be able to tell them that, hey man, life is more than just football. You know, it's one thing for someone to tell you how to do certain things, but here's a young man that's coming in that's done those things, that made those mistakes, and now he's trying to rectify those mistakes and become a better person.
He's a big guy. He only got here late, but he's worked really hard. He's dropped probably 15 pounds since he's been here. So I think 20 would probably be right at the max that he could handle, but he could definitely handle it.
Welcome back into Double T Insider. Adam, we were just talking about the run game and how good Tech looked on Saturday against Eastern Washington, and somebody who's quickly become a fan favorite on social media, a new name in Desmond Nisby. What did you see from him on Saturday?
It was something we definitely hadn't seen before, especially on the sideline, seeing a guy back there in the backfield, every bit of 6'3", 225, just line it up and run it down somebody's throat. Nobody that made first contact on him was able to bring him down. Saw a little bit of him in the first quarter. Didn't see much in the second and third. Saw a little bit more in the fourth quarter. He had over 50 yards rushing on 6 carries. So, again, there's still a little bit of an unknown, but I know fans were so excited about him because it's so different to see that type of running back in our backfield. But it was refreshing for sure.
Right. During recruiting reviews in the spring semester, Coach Jaluk talked about how Justin Stockton was the Lightning and Desmond Nisby was the Thunder. And one of the things that Coach Kingsbury said that he liked most about Desmond Nisby and bringing him in is just his potential to be a true leader on this team. This young man is 25 years old. After he graduated from high school, goes and works a full-time job to help support his family, and now finally, after all those years, able to live out his dream of playing college football.
When I graduated high school, I started working, and I found a relationship with God. So I kind of put football to the, back burner. But I always knew that I would come back to the game. It was like a big, empty hole like in my heart, for the game that, I just needed back in my life. And, once I fell back into it, God just opened everything up. It was beautiful.
Gets the football, Nisby, and he bounces off of a defender, and he's off the left side across midfield to the 45 down to the 43-yard line.
We always keep the channel on NFL Network. That's the only thing I would watch. And so my mom saw the combine. She was like, Desmond, you need to go back and play football. You're probably better than that guy. So I was like, okay. At 21, I came back to football because she told me, Desmond, you need to go back and play football. Just that time off, it gave me a lot of wisdom, and being an older guy that I want to be mature for these guys to set an example to show them like how we should act, on and off the field.
Oddly enough, whenever we sat down with Desmond Nisby, he told us he has a twin brother who gives Desmond a hard time, says that he's actually the athlete in the family, which I find kind of hard to believe. But we've talked about Justin Stockton, we've talked about Desmond Nisby and DeMarcus Felton. We haven't yet talked about Trey King, and he had a touchdown in the third quarter. The run game really does look so much stronger than what we've been able to see in the past.
Hey, we went 4 deep at running back on Saturday. If Nisby's brother's that good and is ready to play, we'll go 5 deep. That's okay. We're ready to do that too. Yes, it's been a while since we've seen this much talent at the running back position, and it's all different types of talent. Lots of speed, and then of course a bruiser like Nisby who can change the pace, can go get you 3rd and 1, 3rd and 3, and maybe stay in there on 3rd and 7 and be that type of third down back. You love to have to make that type of decision, right, where you don't have to just lean on one guy. DeAndre Washington isn't walking through these halls anymore. He's in the NFL. It's good to see upside at that position. And you go over 170 yards and rushing in that game. That's big time. That's good stuff that we hope to see more of. Pace of the game as well. Just over 3 hours. It was good to see 56 points in 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's good stuff. So we look forward to more of that.
We do look forward to that. Stay with us. Still to come on Double T Insider. We are joined in studio by head volleyball coach Tony Greystone. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The diversity is key, I feel, on this team. Just to be able to hit different spots, different sets, different tempos, to switch it up on the fly is really important. We cannot just expect any team to roll over, no matter how many sets we won before. Every team is going to fight, so we just had to keep our heads in it, kind of stay humble and keep fighting.
Welcome back into Double T Insider. Texas Tech volleyball gets a big win, a sweep over ACU in your home opener. Tony Greystone, head coach, here with us right now. Coach, that has got to feel good to be able to come in and sweep ACU right
Always feels good. A great crowd last night. Really happy with how everybody turned out for us. You could feel that energy for sure, and the team played well and responded. So yeah, good night all the way around.
Well, your season started a little bit interestingly. Obviously, you go down to Houston, and because of the weather, you guys have to move out of that tournament, move up to North Texas, and play a match there, and then you head off to UTEP after that. But 5-1 to start the season, and it seems like this team is playing with a different energy and a renewed mentality. Would you agree with that? I would.
That we did so much work during the offseason to kind of retool the roster, bring in some new players, add some transfers, and give everybody just this opportunity to turn it around, and they've really responded well. They want it really bad. They're really conscious about what they do, and they get along great. So this is a really strong group, and it's nice to see those results kicking in.
When one of the things that we've talked about with you a lot, and something that you bring to the table, is just your good track record of being able to turn around programs. How would you compare where you guys are at and what you've been able to do in your second year here compared to what you've experienced, you know, in programs in the past?
Yeah, I think we're further ahead, but it's funny because you'll know what we're at, what we're doing, and what kind of progress we made. The results aren't always there, and part of that is just being in the Big 12 and knowing how much is ahead of us, you know, in terms of the quality of the competition. But in terms of our group and the culture and the leadership and the players that we're attracting now, we're definitely further ahead. And part of that is just experience for me doing it once before. So I think we're getting it for sure.
Well, your newcomers are something really to brag about, and one of which that we've seen so much from already is Missy Owens. And right there at the setter position, she has been fantastic already, and a different type of leader for your team, and you need that at the setter position. But high 30s, low 40s as far as assists per game, and she's led the offense to some special things early in the year. What has she brought to this team that maybe you haven't had at that position before?
Well, she's confident. She knows her game. She is a volleyball first girl, you know, and you hate to say that because you want all of our athletes to be student athletes, but and she's a great student, but you know, she is a volleyball player, and that's really what she wants to think about, and she can't turn it off. So, you know, every time you see her, it's okay, let's do this, what are we working on, can I watch some film, and it always wants an evaluation and work out a problem, and so you love that from your setter position. And the team feeds off that for sure. But, you know, she can do so many things to help us, whether it's through her block or her offense, and just how she runs it, her energy on the court. So it's been a great pickup.
I want to just comment on Missy Owens right now, too, because you were telling us a little bit earlier that every time somebody gets a good play, she does what?
She rubs her head. And that's you know, you come into the huddle after the play, and everybody's celebrating, and she's the first one to take that girl and give them a little head rub and say nice job, and you know, the girls get really fired up about that.
And I want you to talk a little bit about Chandler Atwood. She's somebody who last year showed some real flashes of just how powerful she is on the outside. What have you seen from her in development, not only as a player and her productivity, but just kind of as a leader and somebody that's going to be able to make some real plays for you guys?
Yeah, Chandler is on the verge, and I think you're going to see this throughout the season of having this true breakout. And you know, you'll see it, and then she'll take a step back, and then she'll do it again, and we just keep nudging her along, and the team sees it, and you know, it's just her finding her confidence and knowing that at any point in time she really can take over. Athletically, she has no limits, and she's got a great arm, and now it's just about her finding herself as a player. And the more she does it, the more we're encouraging her, and I think you're going to see real soon that she's going to really step into that role.
Well, we are excited about Chandler. We're excited about everybody this year. Coach, we always enjoy when you come and stop by.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks so much. Stay with us. We'll be right back on Double T Insider. Welcome back into Double T Insider. For every point that was scored in that football game against Eastern Washington, $100 went to hurricane relief in Houston. Coach Kingsbury matched that, so a combined $11,000 would go to help hurricane relief victims there in Houston and in the Houston area.
And other sports getting involved as well, women's basketball, donating water, clothing as well to the cause. All sports getting involved.
Yeah, it's an initiative that all head coaches, all assistant coaches, players, staff have really taken an interest in to just make sure that we're helping those victims. A lot of our players are from the Houston area, and so there's a personal tie there too.
Right, the nature of being a Red Raider is giving back. It's within Texans as well, at the core of who we are. And Texas Tech men's basketball donating to that effort as well, but saw an opportunity to donate in their backyard.
1, 2, 3.
The brand of basketball has been so great to me. It helped me get an education. It's given me opportunity in my life and my kids. Daryl Dorr, one of our coaches and my former player, basketball saved his life. And we hope that a court like this can bring joy and maybe even save some kids' lives as well. This state-of-the-art play space will provide children the opportunity to learn and grow, as well as bridge the relationship and communication between the Lubbock Police Department and the communities that they serve. Nancy, being a legend in our sport, had a close relationship with Coach Knight, and I obviously worked for Coach. So I've always had a lot of respect for Nancy, and specifically, pretty cool, we played Richmond last year, one of our best games and biggest wins. Nancy's son was a senior on that team, one of the best players we saw all last year, basically a Big 12 player playing in the A-10. So I've always had respect for Nancy basketball-wise, but I've also been aware of all the things she does in the community. Some things publicized like today, but many, many more things not publicized. She's just a good American that helps people through basketball. So to have this court in Lubbock is just pretty special.
Red Raider basketball doing their part in their own backyard, and as you mentioned, every sport across campus doing what they can to help our state.
But it's not only Texas Tech. I mean, the University of TCU hosted Rice for several weeks. The University of Texas would host the University of Houston for several weeks. I mean, it's just really neat to see the way that college football has come together. And actually, Coach Kingsbury spoke about that last week. He talked about when he was a coach at the University of Houston, they had to go to SMU for several weeks as they were recovering from a hurricane several years ago. So it's just neat to be able to see the way that college football has really come together.
We've said it before, we say it again. That's why we like sports so much, is because we're able to work things out in our community and see those play out in our sports.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay with us. Still to come on Double T Insider, we'll take a look and get you up to speed at all things happening in Tech athletics this coming week.
Double T Insider was brought to you in part by Plains Capital Bank. Bank with confidence. The Red Raider Club. Your support, their effort, our fearless champions. Texas Farm Bureau. Register today for your chance to deliver the game ball and receive a VIP experience at a Texas Tech home football game. Contest details available at texastech.com.
Welcome back into Double T Insider. Let's take a look real quick at everything happening in Texas Tech athletics this week. No football coming up. Texas Tech having their bye week a little early before turnaround and hosting Arizona State next weekend right here at home inside Jones AT&T Stadium.
Texas Tech soccer on the road, headed west again for a huge weekend at Arizona State. No one can argue with their strength of schedule, that's for sure.
And then volleyball will turn right around and host the Red Raider Classic this weekend. They host Lamar on Friday and UC Riverside, then turning around and facing off against UT Rio Grande Valley on Saturday. All of that ticket information available at texastech.com.
Texas Tech cross country hosting the Texas Tech Open this weekend as well.
We've got a huge weekend ahead, Adam. And don't forget, for all of the details in Texas Tech athletics, head on over to texastech.com. For Adam Doyle, I'm Taylor Peters. This has been Double T Insider. You can tune in every Wednesday at 4:30. We'll see you next week.